There were various factors that contributed to the rapid spread of Islam. The main ones are: the first, Prophet Muhammad's military expeditions. The Prophet was a good military organizer. He led his army from Medina to many successful excursions in Mecca and other areas. For example, at Badr in 624 AD, the Battle of Uhud in 625 AD, and the Ditch in 627 AD. These victories made Muhammad to gain prestige and trust of many in the region. Many tribes entered into agreement with him. Such groups had no alternative but to accept Islam. Other than Mecca, the Arab armies easily conquered the Middle East and imposed their religion on these areas. The second factor is signing of treaty between Muhammad and Mecca in 628 AD. He signed a treaty with the Meccans which brought the status of his community at par with Mecca. This was further helped by the taking control of Mecca by 630 AD with little resistance from its inhabitants. The second factor is the law of merchants. Muslim merchants spread their religion during their commercial activities in the areas. Islam thus easily spread along the busy trade routes of Western Arabia. So number 4 is the Hajj ceremonies. Every Muslim, as we have already learned, was expected to make a pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in a lifetime. This ceremony brought Muslims from various places together. It bound them and made them to put all efforts at spreading the faith. Number 5 factor, establishment of a federation of Arab tribes. Muhammad managed to create a federation of Arab tribes before he did. This federation strengthened the tribe and enabled them to defeat the Eastern Roman Empire and later the Persian Empire. With time, it controlled the lands between Libya and Persia. The federation transformed itself into the Arab Empire, which was instrumental in spreading the faith to the whole region. So, number 6 factor is organization of the Arab Empire. The empire was structured in such a way that it had a successor who took over from Prophet Muhammad. This person was known as Caliph. The individual was the Caliph of the Prophet of Allah, Muhammad. During the Prophet's lifetime, people close to him and ready to protect him, known as companions, were the ones who upon his death held the office of the Caliph. The first was Sayyidina Abu Bakr, who was regularly asked by Prophet to read the prayers in the Grand Mosque whenever he was unable to do so. He thus assumed leadership upon the Prophet's death. Caliphs were behind the successful defenses and offensive raids to those perceived to be enemies of Islam after the death of Prophet Muhammad. For example, Caliph Abu Bakr was said to have sent expeditions against rebellious tribes where the tribes were warned beforehand to abandon the rebellions and embrace Islam, and only those who refused were attacked. He assigned the task of attacking the enemies of Islam to able military commanders who managed to bring Islam to Persia, Syria, Yemen, and Iraq. By the time he died in AD 634, he had tried to bring the whole of the Arabian Peninsula to Islam's fold. This fate was later achieved by his successor, Sayyidina Umar. These leaders ran a bureaucratic system with well-defined offices. There were officers managing all vital sectors including treasury, military, and administration. So, the seventh factor which led to the rapid spread of Islam is the decline of Western Roman and Persian empires. The fall of the Byzantine, it means that Byzantine was Eastern Roman Empire, and the Persian Empire created the power vacuum which was easily filled by Islam. The Islam caliphs used the basis from these empires to spread further into territories that were formerly under their control. Through this, they controlled Egypt, Syria, Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan, France, Spain, and Pakistan, among others. In each of these areas, serious efforts were made to convert the inhabitants to Islam by all means. The two empires were said to have registered weak resistance because the armies were exhausted by the time the Arabs' army forced them. Many inhabitants of these empires welcomed the Arabs as liberators from the harsh Byzantine or Persian rule. So, number 8 factor is the use of mixture of force and diplomacy to win converts. Muslims used the jihad and diplomacy to spread the faith. Minorities in the conquered territories readily embraced Islam. Force which involved using jihad were employed in large and cooperative groups. The Muslim traders used diplomacy to spread Islam. The merchants spread Islam to West and East Africa, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines. There were numerous instances where people from these areas were impressed by the apparent complexity and excellence of the Islamic culture, thereby getting attracted to the region. So, number 9 factor is intermarriage between Muslim and non-Muslims. Muslims easily married non-Muslims. The latter were required to accept the Islamic faith. Those who married Muslims were nonetheless not required to abandon their customs instantly. The converts were allowed a slow Islamization that took several generations to develop the universal Islamic standard. Intermarriage thus helped to spread the Islamic faith. So, number 9 factor which led to the spread of Islam is teachings of the Quran. The teachings of the Quran also contributed to the rapid spread of Islam, where Arabs passionate in their new faith. This was strengthened by the teachings of the Quran, which held that wars for God were just. A warrior killed in jihad or holy war was promised immediate entry into paradise. With this belief, Muslims rushed fearlessly into battle, hence crushing the enemy's forces in the battle. Islam thus closely knit its followers together regardless of intertribal or other inherent differences among the members. Added to the simple and direct message, it had no religious hierarchy or class of priests. In principle, it vouched for equality of all believers regardless of sex, race, class, or wealth. This was appealing to many people. So, number 10 factor is the nature of the Arabian Peninsula. The arid Arabian Peninsula was densely populated in 600 AD. Arab armies were full of warriors eager to move into less populated lands. As the new converts accepted Islam, their numbers swelled, making the register easy victories against their enemies. So number 11 factor, it is a good military tactics and equipment. Comparatively, Arab armies were built and used efficient fighting methods. They were well equipped. The Bedouin camel and horse cavalry mounted aggressive and mobile offensives which overwhelmed many armies in the region. There were, however, some areas where Islam was met with resistance. It was unable to establish a strong foothold in India, while in Europe it withered after some times. So, the Islam did much in order to spread their faith and in order to spread their belief, where they used both. They used both the war method and also where they used sometimes in making treaties with them. So those who refused to join Islam were taxed, but those who didn't refuse were welcomed in Islam. So thanks, that was my documentary of today. Please make sure that you have made subscribed and you have opened the link bell in order to be with me and also to see the another time. Thanks. May God protect you.